everyone, I'm Dai Shinai. I'm very happy to see you all again. We all know that life is very mysterious and complex. Let's talk about this topic today. We can understand the movement rules and structure of a planet that is very far away from us. But when we observe our own lives, we will find that life is so complex that we can't even figure out the reasons for a person's mentality and emotions, because each life is a completely different and extremely complex information carrier process. So, what about the information from individual numbers phenomena? It can help us observe information about various aspects of a living individual. But without such channels, it's impossible for us to track and understand a person's family environment, work environment, dietary habits, daily routines, exercise habits, various other habits, career choices, mindset, emotions, stress, and all sorts of unique, comprehensive, and specific information about this individual. We simply can't conduct ongoing real-time investigations. In the course of psychological research, we have made many attempts in this area, and the most famous one is the longest-running tracking study of a longitudinal research on gifted children initiated by a psychologist from Fudan University. In this study, a group of gifted children born in the 20th century in the United States was selected, and their life trajectories were tracked, spanning the entire 20th century. Even with such an extended observation period, the information ultimately obtained was still quite limited. Because the personality we are able to observe in a person does not necessarily represent their true self, and the observer's cognitive limitations and perspective will also affect the judgment of the results. In fact, even if someone is observed continuously for 80 years, it still does not guarantee that their true personality will be fully revealed. We know this is often the case in families and marriages. Sometimes after living together for 30 or 40 years, we suddenly realize, oh, so this is what this person is really like. At the same time, this information is often fragmented and lacks causal relationships. Each person's thoughts and behaviors in the same situation can be completely different. So I cannot define or explain even partial patterns in a person's entire life just by observing a small group of people. We simply cannot explain things this way. However, whether in scientific research or psychological studies, we have always used this method of studying a small subset of people to try to understand the various patterns of the whole group throughout life, because we have always lacked channels to access comprehensive information about each individual life. New numbers phenomena information offers us the possibility to break through these current limitations. The information about each individual life within numbers phenomena is completely unique and presents a comprehensive picture. This information is multi-layered, and within each layer, the information is highly coherent and displays clear causal relationships. For example, if a person's numerical phenomena information shows that their sleep is very irregular, the reasons for this irregularity will also be reflected in their numerical phenomenal information. It could be due to concerns about relationships, fears related to changes at work, or worries and reflections about their own daily behaviors. The reasons for these situations are different for each person. Therefore, the numerical phenomenal information of each individual with irregular sleep or insomnia will display unique and comprehensive specific personal information. At the same time, we say that this information is coherent and follows a pattern of causality. As we just mentioned, if a person has certain concerns about their own behavior, worry may lead to irregular sleep at night, making it difficult for him to fall asleep well today. So what is the reason for his concern about his own behavior? The answer can also be found in his personal numerical phenomenon information, and it will be presented very clearly. It may stem from a lack of recognition from his family since childhood, resulting in a persistent lack of self-confidence. Or it could be because this individual has a rather extreme way of thinking, which often leads to conflicts with others, which has led to a long-term stress response. All of this information is reflected in his personal numerical phenomenon data. At the same time, if we trace it even further, the outcomes are also revealed within it. If we focus solely on the aspect of irregular sleep, what does he do after experiencing irregular sleep? He chooses to go out drinking and singing with friends. Or he might choose to work in environments with similarly irregular hours, which further contributes to this long-term state of an irregular lifestyle. Alternatively, he may try to deliberately control his sleep through medication. The troubles caused by this irregularity in life, as well as the choices he makes in response, are also further reflected in his numerical phenomenon data. So, this information is highly coherent and also possesses a causal relationship. In our understanding of human information, this is truly astonishing because we have never been able to achieve such a comprehensive and coherent understanding of each individual life. When his numerical phenomenon data reveals his irregular sleep patterns and shows that his long-term lack of security has led to anxiety, which in turn has resulted in a daily drinking habit, this is just one layer of information. On the physical level, we can also observe from this data the inevitable trajectory of his body's development, such as the process leading to liver and kidney failure. In fact, diseases are all formed over a long period of time, accumulating through a combination of factors throughout the course of life. It doesn't happen all of a sudden, but rather forms bit by bit. However, we lack the means to observe this gradual process as it unfolds. It's impossible for us to constantly track a person's eating habits, whether their sleep is regular or what their mindset is like throughout their life. We simply can't do that. Yet numerical phenomena do indeed present us with clear indications of how diseases form, the causes, the process, and even future trends of development. At the same time, this information exists in every aspect of life, not just in the formation of diseases. Take insomnia, for example. In today's fast-paced, high-pressure environment, it's a very common condition. But the data reveals that for each individual, the causes, processes, and future trends of disease development are completely different. Everyone is entirely unique. And this isn't limited to just physical health. For instance, let's look at marriage. Marriage is influenced by the hobbies of both people, their living habits, the way their families interact, their sense of responsibility, and their values. Communication styles and many other factors together shape and form the family environment. Now let's take a more concrete example. For instance, individuals represented by number patterns like 6189, 4798, 68117, 3189, and so on. These kinds of numerical phenomena and information in individuals. In marriage, the likelihood of physical infidelity among these individuals is relatively high. Of course, the factors that lead to the breakdown of each marriage are completely different. If these number patterns are combined with other patterns and influence each other, they will generate new information, which will result in entirely different situations in real life. So, we certainly cannot generalize. Let's use the 3189 number pattern as an example because the information presented by this pattern is quite distinct. Individuals with this kind of number pattern tend to constantly lack a sense of security in their relationships. Over time, this easily gives rise to feelings of suspicion. At the same time, such individuals are also very susceptible to external influences and stimuli, which can lead them to make rather chaotic choices when they are in an irrational state of mind. In marriage, as we know, if there is a persistent lack of trust in your partner, and a lack of rational judgment, then maintaining a good and honest relationship between both parties becomes extremely difficult. This makes it easy for misunderstandings and barriers to form between the two people. In such situations, individuals with this kind of number pattern are especially prone to being influenced by external information. For example, a single comment from a friend or something they see can easily make them trust their partner less and less, or cause their own thought patterns to be easily disrupted. This can also lead to an increased likelihood of infidelity occurring. However, you cannot simply equate the information revealed by these numerical phenomena with the act of cheating itself. When such situations arise in a marriage, they are usually the result of multiple factors working together, so it is definitely not caused by a single factor alone. Yet through these studies, we have continually found that when you observe a person's numerical phenomena, information from a certain aspect, leads to such a result, then information from other aspects of that person will inevitably be consistent with this outcome as well. For example, with this kind of number pattern, it is also likely for someone to have habits like excessive drinking or smoking. This relates to their inner thoughts not being easily accepted and their emotions not being easily satisfied. Such individuals find it difficult to achieve a sense of fulfillment, and it is also hard for their family to provide them with enough sense of security. This is closely related, so on this level, as we just mentioned, they are easily influenced by external information and also prone to having doubts about their partner or family. At the same time, it's not just their inner thoughts that are like this, their external circumstances are similar as well. Individuals with this kind of number pattern are easily affected by outside information, so their surrounding environment is also likely to be noticeably influenced by them. For example, their surroundings might be filled with things that irritate them, or information that causes confusion in their thinking patterns and judgment. As a result, when making decisions in relationships, they are prone to making irrational judgments and decisions, leading to misunderstandings. At the same time, the environment they are exposed to is also one of the factors that can cause misunderstandings with their partner. This is because the people we interact with, our interests, hobbies, and behaviors are all connected. And our lifestyle habits and all sorts of things together shape who we are. So if someone has a long-term habit of drinking, they will inevitably be exposed to drinking environments. And what do these drinking environments include? For example, bars and nightclubs. In these kinds of places, the atmosphere is often noisy and chaotic, and the people you come into contact with are naturally those who frequent such environments. We know that if our partner is in this kind of environment, if someone goes to bars or nightclubs like this every day, then the likelihood of mistrust developing between two people will gradually increase. Now, is this person naturally inclined to drink? Of course not. In fact, these numerical phenomena and information also reflect that the family environment they come from is likely to be unstable or irregular, or that family members are separated by distance, lacking stability, mutual communication, and trust. These factors gradually shape their thinking, behavior, and habits as they grow up. This also includes what kind of plans or sense of responsibility he has toward his partner. So we often say that the complexity of an individual's numerical phenomena and information is not just about the individual themselves, but also encompasses a combination of factors such as their family, educational background, surrounding environment and relationships, work situation, social environment, and so on. This is also why, even though a planet may be so far away from us as science advances, we are able to understand it more and more. But for us humans, this is completely impossible. In fact, we may not even be able to fully understand ourselves. You can't possibly know in your teenage years what kind of job you'll have in the future, what kind of friends you'll make, what kind of family environment you'll create, what kind of psychological or physical state you'll develop, or what kind of next generation you'll raise. However, all of this information is clearly reflected in our numerical phenomena data. Throughout more than a decade of research and development in numbers phenomena, we have been constantly amazed and astonished. We are amazed that we can understand the information of a life and an individual to such a detailed extent. We marvel at how much value the information from numerical phenomena can provide for the future of humanity. How is the process of our lives formed? What kind of thinking do you possess? What values do you hold? Why do you form such social circles? Why do you end up with certain people? Why do you choose a particular job? Why do you develop a certain lifestyle? All of this information is presented within our data stream. So why is that? It's because the information in numerical phenomena is extremely complex and vast. No matter how many words we use, we cannot fully convey the complexity of numerical phenomena. Even if we recorded thousands or tens of thousands of videos, we still wouldn't be able to clearly explain the role that numbers phenomena play in every aspect of our lives. This is because the information in numbers phenomena is a comprehensive reflection of the life processes of each and every one of us. Every choice you make, every tiny detail of every time you lose your temper in life is all recorded in the information on the data stream, so you can imagine just how precise it is. At the same time, this level of detail creates an enormous information network. Therefore, the path to studying numbers phenomena and their information is still a long one, and we hope that people from all industries will join us in exploring, understanding, and delving deeper into the value and role that numbers phenomena can provide in various aspects of life. For today, we'll stop here, but there is still so much more to discuss about numbers phenomena. In the future, we will have plenty of time to explore these topics together with everyone. Thank you all. I am Dai Shinai.